Senator Hoven. Secretary, I mentioned in my opening my concern about the King Cove Road and the fact that today is 26 months to the day that you have rejected this 10-mile, one-lane, gravel, non-commercial use road. And we keep count of that because it's important to the people of that region. And the other thing that we keep count of is how many medevacs have occurred from King Cove since the rejection of the road. Last year, I asked you if you were aware how many medevacs had been required since the time you rejected the road. I'd ask you the question again this morning if you are aware as to how many medevacs, both Coast Guard and non-Coast Guard, have actually gone into King Cove since December 23rd of 2013.
I don't have the number, Senator, but I am sure that it is dozens.
The number is 39 total, 14 by the Coast Guard, which is unacceptable by anyone's standards. I understand that Interior commissioned a study that was completed last year by the Army Corps. You again looked at the use of marine vessel, helicopter, or perhaps building a new airport alternatives, all of which have been reviewed in the past. They have been deemed impractical, unaffordable, particularly when you put it up against, again, a one-lane gravel non-commercial use road. So the question to you this morning is whether or not you have publicly released that report and whether the people of King Cove were actually consulted as that core report was developed.
The team is telling me we have not released the report publicly.
Will you?
My understanding. I don't see any reason why not.
Okay, we would look forward to the release of that. And were the people of King Cove consulted as that report was being prepared?
I'd have to go back and check with the Army Corps. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Okay, if you can get us an answer to that as well. And then, as I mentioned, you had promised that you would work to address the situation of the people in King Cove. I don't see anything in this FY17 budget to actually implement any of the ideas that were contained in the study of these alternatives. So the question this morning is whether or not you're planning on doing anything in this year, or is this a situation where you basically just run the clock and you leave the people of King Cove hanging?
Senator, I have no intention of leaving the people of King Cove hanging, and I would be delighted to work with you on a marine-based solution that was identified in the Army Corps report. As you and I have talked, and I know it is unlikely we're going to agree on this point, I do not believe it is appropriate to run a road through this very sensitive wilderness area and wildlife refuge that is a very narrow isthmus that was set aside originally in the 40s and made wilderness in the 80s and is an area of international environmental concern that the wildlife biologists agree would be really severely damaged by a single-lane gravel road.
A 10-mile, one-lane gravel non-commercial use road.
Correct.
In an area that has seen road traffic since World War II. What we are asking for the people of King Cove is a life-saving access to an all-weather airport that is an affordable solution as opposed to the alternatives that have been considered over the years and rejected as either unsustainable, unaffordable, or just completely impractical.